Hello, friends. Have you ever wondered why you're feeling more tired, struggling to sleep, or noticing changes in your weight that seem impossible to manage? Or perhaps you've been trying all the advice out there, but you still feel stuck, frustrated, and unsure what actually works to feel balanced and energized again? You're listening to Midlife Mojo, the podcast that helps women over 50 get fit and flourish in menopause. I'm Lisa DuPree, a certified exercise physiologist and health coach, and I've been helping people transform their health and fitness for over 20 years. My mission is to make fitness and fat loss simple, sustainable, and achievable for women like you. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that's often overcomplicated by buzzwords and misinformation, and that is hormonal health. Now, let me be upfront. Just going to get it out of the way. I am not a doctor. I'm not a clinician. I do have degrees in biology and exercise science. I taught health for almost 15 years at a private university, and I've spent years as a health coach helping women simplify their health and fitness. Today, what I'm sharing is what I've learned from trusted, evidence-based sources and my personal and professional experience to help you feel more balanced and energized without all the hype. It is not meant to be prescriptive or clinical advice, though. All right, so today I'm going to highlight these 4 powerful science-backed habits that are going to help you take control of your energy, sleep, and mood. And it is going to be without gimmicks or buzzwords or overwhelming rules. And how small intentional changes make a big difference, because nobody wants to overhaul their whole life. We want to make sustainable changes and see meaningful results from it. By the end of this episode, you're going to walk away with practical tips to naturally support your hormones and feel more like yourself again. So if you're ready to feel more balanced, energized, and in control of your health, let's dive in. First, let's talk about why hormones and hormone health is such a big deal. Hormones are chemical messengers that are in our body, and they regulate just about everything. They affect your sleep, your metabolism, your overall energy, your mood, and even how you process stress. And as women, as we go through midlife, hormonal changes are a natural part of aging. So our estrogen, it begins reducing or it fluctuates. And then eventually when we're past menopause, we're not making estrogen anymore. And then we have fluctuating cortisol. Now, we have to have cortisol. It's a stress hormone, and we need some of that. But it also, when it gets out of control, there's chronic stress. You're going to have that fluctuating cortisol, and that can cause some issues as well. Even imbalances in other hormones like insulin can start to show up as we age in really sneaky ways. So you might feel more fatigued. You might have trouble sleeping. You might experience cravings, and you may notice changes in your weight. All these can be due to hormonal changes. The good news here is that we're not powerless. Some of these changes are going to be inevitable if we are going about the normal aging process. However, lifestyle choices can make a big, big impact on how we feel. All right, let's get into some of these lifestyle habits. So habit 1, that is going to be eating for balancing your blood sugar. And I want to start there because it's one of the most important ways that you can support your hormones. And it matters because when you eat, your body is going to break it down into components for energy. Now, that energy is going to be in the form of blood glucose, and that is something that your body uses for energy. And then it's going to cause your blood sugar to go up. So your blood sugar is going to rise after a meal. This is natural. This is expected. This is what we want. Your body is going to release a hormone insulin in response to that. It's going to be able to corral that glucose. It's going to take it into your cells, and that's going to bring your blood sugar back down. If you are eating a lot of simple sugars, a lot of simple carbohydrates, things like that, you're not balancing it out with other macronutrients, then what's going to be happening is when you're eating, you're going to constantly be getting this spike of your blood sugar, and then lots of insulin, and then it's going to pull it all out and it's going to come down. So you're going to be on this roller coaster. And overall, it really can lead to elevated cortisol, which is that stress hormone. We want to kind of more even it out a little bit. There's going to be fluctuations. This is normal. We just don't want to get on that big roller coaster of high blood sugar, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, low blood sugar. So one of the simplest ways to prevent this is by focusing on balanced meals that include all the macronutrients and fiber. So lean protein, healthy fats, fiber-rich carbohydrates at every meal. If you're thinking of, if you think of your plate, Harvard Healthy Eating Plate is a really good visual example. So let me describe that. So if you have your plate, if you divide that plate in half, then half of your plate, you want to be those fiber-rich carbohydrates. That is going to be in the form of vegetables, non-starchy carbohydrates. So that's going to be greens, any kind of leafy greens. It's going to be cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, things like that. Asparagus is great. Squashes are great as well. And so you're going to make up the bulk of your plate with that. And then on the other half of the plate, you're going to take that and divide that just about in half. And then think of that 1/4 is going to be protein. That is going to be like a grilled chicken breast. It is going to be lean fish, or maybe a fish that is a little bit more fatty, like salmon that has some healthy fats in it. And then in the bottom quarter of that half of the plate is where you're going to put in your more starchy carbs. That could be like a roasted white potato, brown rice, sweet potatoes. And so you want to think about this, really satiating and hunger crushing combination for every meal. So about half veggies, about 1/4 lean protein, and 1/4 of starchy vegetables. But you're really getting the bulk from fiber-rich carbs and then adding in those healthy fats as well. That's going to help stabilize that blood sugar, keep you from getting on that roller coaster, even out your energy, and won't lead to more elevated cortisol. All right. So second habit, speaking of cortisol, that stress hormone, managing your stress effectively. So stress management is going to be key. Chronic stress is a major disruptor of hormones. High cortisol levels mess with your sleep. It causes sugar cravings, and it can even contribute to weight gain, particularly around the midsection. So this is a double whammy for women as we are getting into perimenopause and menopause, because when our estrogen goes down, our bodies tend to want to put on fat around our midsection, visceral fat around our abdomen, because we're gaining fat around our middle. And then with our sleep tends to get disrupted by things like hot flashes at night. They're night sweats. Yeah. And so we want to manage that stress effectively. And so the research is really clear on this. And it's really interesting that over the past, I would say probably 15 years, there has been so much more research on mindfulness practices to help really ramp up our parasympathetic nervous system, and that is our rest and digest system, versus like our stress, fight or flight systems. And so mindfulness practices, incorporating those, begin practicing them on a regular basis. So it doesn't have to be like a whole thing. Now, practices like meditation can definitely help. So sitting down, really taking that time, becoming into the present moment, noticing what's happening in your body, doing some breathing exercises, things like that can really help significantly reduce overall cortisol levels. Even just sitting there for a couple of minutes and doing like deep belly breaths significantly reduce cortisol levels, because it really ramps up that parasympathetic nervous system. One of the best ones I like to do to really quickly break up that stress response and kind of get that relaxation response is breathing, where if you have your hand on your chest and one on your belly, take a deep breath in for like 4 counts. Pause for about 4 counts, and then exhale for about 7 or 8. So inhaling, 4, pause, and then exhaling. Your inhale is full deep inhale, filling up into the belly, pausing for just a couple of counts, and then exhaling longer. So that is going to bring on that feeling of relaxation really quick. If this kind of breathing, or even if meditation, it starts feeling intimidating, you've tried it before, it's hard to get into the groove, start small. There's many different apps out there. I like Calm and Headspace because they have short guided exercises that are quick to access and easy to follow. Other things that really help manage stress, and this is something for me that I've noticed, is getting outside. Getting outside just for a few minutes, especially if you are having something that is triggering stress or you're just feeling like you can't relax. So I've been getting outside more and more and doing walks. Journaling just for a few minutes, taking a few minutes at the end of the day to just sit down, jot down your thoughts, get it out of your head. If there's something that's you've been ruminating on, or something that you are trying to figure out, or something that's coming up that you know that is going to be stressful, just journal that out for a couple of minutes. Don't judge. Don't try to change what is. Just get it out onto paper, and that can actually help with alleviating some of that stress. Also doing something creative. Being able to write, if that's something creative, being able to try new recipes. That's my go-to. I look at recipes and then I use them as guidelines, and then I make up my own stuff. So it's really creative in that respect. And whatever hobbies you have, those things can actually lower stress over time. All right. Habit 3. Prioritize restorative sleep. Sleep impacts hormones more than most people realize. So when you don't get enough sleep, there are 2 key hormones, ghrelin and leptin, that go kind of out of whack. And in my last episode, I think it was episode 45, I went into what the effects of restricted sleep and lack of sleep and poor quality sleep, what it actually does to leptin and ghrelin. I went into that a little bit deeper. I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes if you want to check that part out. Just in short, ghrelin is the hormone that makes you feel hungry, and leptin is the hormone that triggers when you are full or when you feel satisfied. When you have disruptive sleep or shortened sleep, which is more like not getting as many hours, then it can lead to cravings, overeating, and overall feeling drained, just not having enough energy, because your ghrelin is going to ramp up and your leptin, which makes you feel full, you don't produce enough of it, or you're not as sensitive to it. One tip to really improve your sleep is to create a calming evening routine. One of the things that has been a game changer, I know for my students when I taught undergraduate health, and also for my clients, is to turn off all their screens 30 minutes before they want to go to bed. That blue light on the screen disrupts your hormone production of melatonin. So melatonin is produced naturally in sync with your overall circadian rhythm. But that blue light from our screens disrupts that. So if you can get into the habit of turning off all of your screens, putting away your phone, if you're reading on an iPad, being able to put that away, maybe read an actual physical book. I know that's hard. I'm an iPad reader myself. I prefer to do that instead of actually turning the pages on a book now, which I never thought I'd get to that point, but yep, here I am. So I have glasses that I read with at night that take away that blue light. That can really help, because then your body's going to naturally begin to produce that melatonin, which helps you feel sleepy and fall asleep. Another thing that you can do to help with sleep is adding magnesium-rich foods to your evening meal. Magnesium helps promote relaxation, and it helps you get into that calming evening routine and transition into bedtime. And so my favorite go-to magnesium-rich evening snack is some almonds and dark chocolate. I found these chocolate bars because I'm in training for a physique competition. And so I'm really very, very regimented at this point with my meal plan. But there are these chocolate bars that they're made by a company called Gatsby. And they have really dark chocolate, which is great because I'm dairy-free and gluten-free. That fits in there, it fits in my calories, but they also have almonds in it. So, 1 or 2 squares fits into my diet. I get chocolate in the evening as a treat, and it's magnesium rich. So, if you're struggling with sleep, try some of these things. And then there are a lot of really good resources out there, like the National Sleep Foundation. They have great resources for sleep hygiene. And you can check that out, National Sleep Foundation. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. There's definitely good evidence-based information out there that you can take advantage of. All right, that brings us to habit 4, which is movement. As an exercise physiologist and a health coach and someone who taught health for 15 years, I am going to talk about movement. I think maybe every episode in some way or another. So physical activity, regular exercise is going to be fantastic for regulating your hormones, especially cortisol and insulin. So it doesn't have to mean that you are doing hard workouts every day. Gentle movements like yoga, stretching, walking is going to be beneficial overall, just for overall health. Strength training in particular is going to be beneficial for women in midlife because it helps you maintain your muscle mass. And that is something that we want. We want to still build muscle, keep up our metabolism, maintain our muscle mass, and not let muscle loss happen with age. We do have the ability to control some of that, but you really have to continue moving. Aim for about 30 minutes of movement most days of the week. So you don't have to overdo it. Too much intense exercise actually increases cortisol, especially if you're not being careful about your recovery. And so this is something that I work with my clients on a lot. It's like starting from where they are and figuring out, okay, how am I going to be able to incorporate this movement into my day in a way that is going to work for me for what my overall goals are. Some people's goals are to go and do an event or do a competition. Some people, they just want to be able to move pain-free throughout the day. And whatever it is, there is a type of movement and there is a process that works. Like our bodies were made to move. And then no matter what kind of injuries, restrictions, time you have available, there's something that'll fit. So it's really about finding what works for you and finding that balance, but definitely incorporating movement overall. All right, before we wrap up, I wanted to remind you that you, again, do not need to overhaul your life overnight. I would not recommend that at all. It's not sustainable. Thinking about of these 4 habits, blood sugar balancing, managing stress, prioritizing restorative sleep, incorporating activity up to about 30 minutes a day. Of those 4, pick one habit to start with. Or if you've already doing really well in one, really being consistent with that and adding another one in when it feels like you can make that fit. Whether it's balancing your meals, adding a few minutes of mindfulness, committing to a consistent bedtime, small intentional changes are going to add up over time. If you're ready to dive deeper into feeling leaner, stronger, and more energized, I would love to support you. You can join my Midlife Mojo Jumpstart, which is a free 5-day mini course. It's designed to give you some of the tools that you need to change up your eating, exercise, sleep, and mindset in ways that are going to help you optimize your health and feel amazing in menopause. I will put the link in the show notes for you. And you can sign up. Again, it's completely free. Thank you so much for tuning into Midlife Mojo. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend. and take a couple of seconds and leave a review. It really helps more women like you discover the show and take back their health and confidence and really rock their fitness in midlife. Until next time, get out there and keep your mojo rising.